If these allegations are proven true or not, Vince McMahon is done. Possibly the name of McMahon will never ever be spoken in a positive light again. But here's the other problem. It's not just how it affects him, it's how it filters down throughout the WWE, who knew what, who knew when, etc, etc, etc. And that could be the ultimate nail in the coffin for everything that we know and love about wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, welcome to Creative Business Made Simple. I am your lovable host, John Morris, the artist, author, and coach for the creative mind. Before we go any further, I've got to ask you to do two things. First of all, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we want you to make sure that you never miss an episode of Creative Business Made Simple. The second thing I want you to do is to share this on your social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, because you're going to have the opportunity to enter our free monthly sweepstakes, which is going to give you the opportunity at amazing giveaway prizes. A lot of people tell you just to share and do all that kind of stuff, and you never do it. But if you've actually got a special offer on the other end of it where you could win and win big, then that might actually help. So you could win anything from one of our books, even my new book, AI Unleashed. Personal coaching calls with yours truly, and a month free working with me to help you build your business to get from where you are to where you want to be. How incredible is that? And all you need to do is to share on your social media platforms and to type the word DONE underneath. But in serious now, I legally have an obligation to you to inform the viewers of this episode, and probably in this sort of series, contains trigger warnings. It contains conversation not appropriate for young listeners. Basically, if you are sensitive on any way, shape or form, you might not want to listen to this because we're going to be dealing with very adult themes in the world of business that are very timely, very present in the Vince McMahon case, shall we say. And we're going to develop that obviously as we go in. But that's sort of a preface, a warning. If you are sensitive, then you might want to turn this off now. If you're still here watching me, thank you so much. It's great to see you. We are talking obviously about the Vince McMahon sex trafficking allegations that have been going on. We're breaking it down into a business format because that's what we're here for. And it's my job in another role as a psychologist in training to basically analyze things, to take out the emotion and to deal with the fact. We want to be objective in all of these things that are going on. So if you're sitting there listening and saying, well, he did it, it's like, bear in mind at this time, it's allegations. And Vince McMahon himself has released a statement that has said that basically the facts that are there were altered facts. He's not denying that he did what he did, and we're going to talk about that and so much more in this series, but it's altered, which means it's not explicitly the truth, okay? So, the other thing that I need to tell you as well as a legal formality is where we have pulled the sources from. We've pulled the sources from the original documents, which is a 100-page document and I think an 80-plus page legal what has been served, a legal thing that's out there. I would encourage you, if you want to know more about this, and to read the document yourself of what Vince has done, what's transpired, the conversations that have been had, the text messages, etc, etc, etc. It is online. You can find it. You just throw it into your Google machine and you can find it yourself. We're also going to be pulling it from Stephen P. New, which is an attorney at law based in the United States, who follows cases like this very, very closely. And actually broke down the entire, as I say, 100-plus page document for us on his show. We're also going to be following and pulling from the comments of Jim Cornette, who is a former employee of Vince McMahon and World Wrestling Entertainment, back then World Wrestling Federation. Now hosts his own podcast, The Cornette Experience, on Cornette Drive-Thru. I'm probably not pronouncing that correctly, and I do apologize for that. But we're going to be pulling from that. Jim was an employee of Vince's and WWE's from 1993 all the way through to 1999. and has some really interesting takes on this topic. And we're also going to be pulling from one of my friends, Eric Bischoff, who briefly worked for Vince McMahon as well, and who had some very interesting comments to say in his recent episode of 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff. So that's basically, in a nutshell, at this point, 31st of the 1st, 2024, 17:37 p.m. I didn't need to say PM, but for those of you that don't know 24-hour time, that's where we're at. Okay, so I have documents here with me. Now, this is one of the only shows that I actually have written documents beside me. It is important, obviously, to have that. So, for those of you that don't know what happened, allegations came out against Vince McMahon in 2022 that he had been alleged sexual offences and all sorts of other stuff with somebody. Now, this kind of blew over. He left WWE for a short period of time, only to come back, okay? And was welcome back. It has come out recently, sort of within the last several days, that McMahon has been, how do I phrase this, engaging in quite disgusting, evil, heinous activities that you wouldn't even begin to believe. So as you are aware, I'm going to be pulling this from a psychological point of view and looking at it from an analytic point of view. I'm also going to be pulling it from a business point of view as well. So, let's begin, shall we? So, this lady who has been identified. Her age has varied, as has her story, depending whose report and you listen to. It's anywhere from 21 all the way up to 40 odd, okay? She knows how old she is, etc., etc. That's not overly important. What is important is the timeline, the sequence of events. So, the best that I can understand it is she was going through a really difficult situation in her life where she lost both of her parents, she was jobless, she was living in a complex. She knew the complex, either the manager or owner or whatever, and they basically said, you're without a job, you need to speak to Vince McMahon, who also lives in this apartment complex, and basically he will hook you up with a job. McMahon and her, at some point in time, have met and basically sat down and he said, right, okay, well, for $100,000, I'll put you on staff and whatever. This lady, and we're not going to name her, because again, we want to protect as much as we can parties, and I don't think there's anything funny really in this. There's nothing to be gained, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on as we go. This episode may be split into numerous smaller episodes, so as you can understand it, and so as it's not so overwhelming. But basically, McMahon and this lady met in private quarters and had a conversation. McMahon said that he was going to put her in a $100,000 position. She was given a position within the company. Allegedly, everybody that needed to know knew that, this is Vince McMahon's girlfriend. Bear in mind that McMahon is now 78 years old, and if she's 21, there's a massive age discrepancy there. But if it's, between consenting adults, again, we're dealing with the fact, not necessarily the emotion behind it. Basically, then the story escalates where McMahon ups her salary to $200,000 in exchange for sexual activity. And it's basically, from what I can understand, he is, dare I say it, pimping her out. There are a number of people that have been implicated by this. We're going to touch on that later. Want to stay with this specific topic right now. So, McMahon and this woman meet alone. Now, if you are a billionaire boss of a major international company, and you are talking to somebody about a potential position in your company, I never ever applaud anybody who thinks it's a good idea to meet in the home by themselves. And the reason for that is because you leave yourself vulnerable, you leave yourself open. She could have very easily claimed McMahon, raped her there. And that has happened in the world of business before. Not that it happened, but that people were accused of it. So in the world of business, you want to protect yourself as much as possible. That means really watching the conversations that you're having. any paper trails that are leading to you or any text trails that are leading to you, you have to be aware that this can be seen, this can be used against you, okay? I know a lot of people are nervous now, because in the modern age that we live in, it's very easy to have a conversation with somebody that gets out of control, or gets out of hand, or gets too flirtatious, or whatever it might be. And there's all sorts of, laws around that. Was it, was it on common grounds? Was it both adults in agreement? Was it just a fling? Was it just a stupid bit of fun? Etc., etc., etc. Or was there something more that's going on here? The danger is as well that if one of parties declares that they were not willing participants in this, then you have an issue. Because what happens is, if both parties are willing, and it can be proven that both parties are willing, then there is no case. If both parties are willing, and one party at some point says, no, I don't want to pursue this any further, then you have to stop. McMahon, in his texts, have basically said, and in his conduct, have basically said, no means yes. And again, that is an ultimate master manipulator technique. We're going to get into that, obviously, later on. But the reality is that he's had a conversation with this woman in the private confines of his own home. Many would say that there's nothing wrong with that. I would. I would absolutely say that's, rule 101 broken. You don't have private conversations with people in your own home by yourself, male to female. It just doesn't happen. Okay, and I don't think it should ever do, because you are leaving yourself open and vulnerable as a business person. Not only as a business person, but also in personal circumstances, because you don't know what might transpire 6 months, 10 months, 11 months down the line, 2 years down the line, 11 years down the line. You may be accused of something, and only you and this person will know whether or not it's the truth. So, that the problem with his word against hers or her word against his is the fact that you have to then prove what you say is true. The next point in this is the fact that he sent so many obscene texts, the fact that that McMahon allegedly, at this point, sent so many obscene texts, that he sent so many vile things. It appears that this was not only malicious, not only controlling, not only mentally abusive, but also that this was premeditated. That literally he sat there, and this is from Jim Cornette's point of view, he sat there and he was conjuring this stuff up. And again, if you want to know what was, said in the text messages from McMahon to this lady, you can go online and you can find out. In the 100-page document, it is all there. It is all there in black and white. I mean, when you are listening to this sort of stuff, because I found out on Sunday morning, I think it was, or Monday morning, whenever it was, and I sat there and I listened to this. I listened to Jimmy Cornette's point of view. I listened to Eric Bischoff's point of view. I listened to Stephen Pugh point of view, and his professional sort of analysis on the case. And this is a guy who we have paid hundreds of millions of dollars to, billions of dollars, unitedly as the WWE Universe, for as long as I've been alive. It's shocking. And the reason it's shocking, just to give you an idea, we're not just talking about somebody having an affair. We're talking about McMahon allegedly defecating on, and if you don't know what that means, it means basically taking a dump, excreting, pooing on this girl's hair. In her head, face, whatever. While there was a threesome taking place. Not only that, but a now former employee of McMahon's and WWE's, and John Laurinaitis, has also implemented this, and unfortunately it couldn't have come at a worse time, because his wife, who many of you will know as the Bella Twins' mother, is having surgery for a brain tumor, I believe, brain cancer, and he's doing this. There have been other people implemented in this as well. UFC legend and wrestling legend Brock Lesnar, who basically McMahon, said, hey, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and anything you want, you just tell me. And basically Lesnar, allegedly, we don't know this for certain, no comment has been made, but wanted videos of her urinating and then to engage sexual conduct and all sorts of stuff, allegedly, that was going on. So, as we explore this, I mean, it's something that is literally out of the sickest novel or pornographic film that you can imagine. And I've actually got noted down here on page 4 of my notes, was porn conditioning a factor? And what I mean by that is, from a psychological point of view, whenever you watch pornography, it floods your brain with dopamine. If McMahon, for example, and the case has been made by Jim Cornette, that McMahon had been taking a number of unsolicited or unprotected chair shots to the head from age 50 and above, is there what I would call Chris Benoit syndrome in there? Is there... Chris Benoit was a wrestler who unfortunately went absolutely ballistic, and it appears that he killed his family and killed himself. And there's a number of different things that are going on. Again, we're dealing with what facts we know at this point in time. Is it a case of McMahon, has been hit in the head and literally now has no idea as to what's going on, what's happening? Is it a case of drugs? Is it a case of steroids? Is it a case of, again, another point was made that McMahon, was... It can be a kink, shall we say. A kinky personality, which means that, they can be into some questionable things, and a lot of billionaires want to be more submissive. McMahon, at the age that he's at, where he's losing more and more power within his organization, was it a case that he wanted to be dominant? And, he wanted to, basically show that he was still controlling, getting a kick out of it. And I think a case genuinely has to be made of that. I would be really interested to sit down with people that were around McMahon for a prolonged period of time, and actually have the conversation with them. Was there a change in McMahon's behavior? What did you know? What didn't you know? And that's something I think, after we take this break, that I think we need to discuss, because I think it is a really important question to ask.